Good evening. Thank you for joining us on the War Diary. On the 378th day of the war, these are the main highlights of the day at 7 p.m. Beirut time. We begin with the situation in Lebanon. The Israeli bombing continued to target Lebanon on Friday, especially in the south and the Bekaa. In the south, Israeli warplanes targeted several villages including Khiyam, Ait al-Sha'ab, Jibshit, Haruf, and Ansar. The strike on Ansar killed 2 people and another airstrike on a building in Zawtar al-Sharqiyya resulted in 1 fatality. 2 people were also reported killed in Zarariya as a result of an airstrike targeting the entrance of Wadi Khalil. In the town of Jwaya, an airstrike caused 3 deaths and several injuries with rescue operations still underway. An explosion was reported off the coast of Naura with a mysterious object falling into the sea and smoke seen rising in the area of the coast of Tyre. In the Bekaa, Israeli warplanes bombed the town of Taraya west of Baalbek and the outskirts of Ansar near Taibe in the Baalbek district. On their part, Hezbollah announced a large-scale rocket strike on the Israeli settlement of Zevulun. They also targeted the Yoav military post in the occupied Golan, an Israeli soldier gathering in the Zarid settlement, and the Ras Naura naval site with rocket fire. Additionally, they attacked Israeli forces near Kfar Kila with artillery and rockets. Finally, the group announced they targeted Israeli soldiers near Ait al-Sha'ab as they attempted to evacuate wounded and dead soldiers. According to Hezbollah, Israeli losses included around 55 killed and over 500 injured among soldiers, along with the destruction of 20 Merkava tanks, 4 bulldozers, 1 armored vehicle, and 2 drones. The Israeli army announced the mobilization of another reserve brigade for operations on the northern front to continue the fight against Hezbollah and achieve their military objectives, including the return of northern residents to their homes. The army also stated that it expanded its operations across the border, engaging in battles on multiple fronts in southern Lebanon. Meanwhile, according to the UN peacekeeping force UNIFIL, the escalating conflict between Israel and Hezbollah has led to, and I quote, widespread destruction of towns and villages in southern Lebanon. During a media briefing in Geneva via video link from Beirut, Andrea Tenenti, the UNIFIL spokesman, emphasized the importance of the peacekeeping forces' presence despite repeated deliberate attacks on their positions by Israeli forces. In Gaza, Israeli operations continue, particularly in the northern part where attacks have intensified. At least 62 people have been killed in the last 24 hours. The human toll since the start of the war at 7 p.m. Beirut time. The Lebanese Ministry of Health reported that 2,412 were killed and 11,285 injured due to Israeli attacks on the country since October 8, 2023. On the Gaza side, the enclave's Ministry of Health has reported over 42,500 Palestinians killed since October 7. On the diplomatic front, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced last night that the death of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar marked the beginning of the end of the war waged in Gaza for over a year. Hamas, for its part, announced that the hostages would not be released until the war in the enclave came to a complete end. The Israeli army had withdrawn from the territory and Palestinian prisoners held in Israel had been freed. Meanwhile, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who arrived in Beirut later in the day, reiterated that it was, and I quote, unacceptable to target the peacekeepers deployed in southern Lebanon. The peacekeepers had denounced several shootings and tank attacks by the Israeli army in recent days. Also on the news on Friday, caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati slammed statements by the President of the Iranian Parliament, Mohammad Ghalibaf, declaring himself surprised by his stance, which constitutes a scandalous interference in Lebanese affairs. This came after Ghalibaf expressed on Friday Tehran's readiness to negotiate with Paris over the implementation of UN Resolution 1701 as a prerequisite for the return of peace. That's it for today's recap. See you tomorrow for another roundup of the situation. Until then, stay connected on our website www.thisisbeirut.com.lb and on all our social media platforms.